And that would be awful. We've got a mythology going now, which, as Father Maskell put it, we're nothing but something that happens between the maternity ward and the crematorium. And that's it. And therefore, everybody feels unhappy and miserable. Now, this is what people really believe today. You may go to church, you may say you believe in this, that, and the other, but you don't. Even Jehovah's Witnesses, who are the most fundamentalists, they're polite when they come round and knock at the door. But if you really believed in Christianity, you'd be screaming in the streets. But nobody does. You'd be taking full-page ads in the paper every day. You would have the most terrifying television programs. The churches would be going out of their minds if they really believe what they teach, but they don't. You are a fluke. You are a separate event. And you run from the maternity ward to the crematorium, and that's it, baby. That's it. Now, why does anybody think that way? There's no reason to, because it isn't even scientific. It's just a myth. And it's invented by people who wanted to feel a certain way. They want to play a certain game. See, the game of God got embarrassing. The idea of God as the potter, the architect of the universe, is good. And it makes you feel that life is, after all,
He makes them. He can make them himself, right?
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Guys, can I ask you a quick question about the hostages today?
You guys, do we look like we're sitting on a panel? I don't know what's happening today.
Okay, go ahead. They released 2 or 3 hostages, but apparently, wasn't it like, for every hostage, like 30 Hamas terrorists? But this time, for the 3 hostages, they released like 182, 183.
You'll have to take that up with the Knesset, with the government. Sorry.
I'm sure someone might know why the numbers boosted up so much.
We're dealing with other important things, not the exact number of hostages that were being released in an exchange. We're dealing with like what you should eat on a plane when you land, what sports Israel plays, things like that.
I saw a post this week that someone went to McDonald's in Israel, because they say that the McDonald's is so good in Israel. I never got to try it. And they brought it on the plane and ate it like a sandwich.
I mean, it's crazy because I'm not thinking about food. I'm not thinking about shelter. I'm not thinking about hotel. I'm not thinking about any of that. All I'm thinking about is Hebrew and perfecting Ani Radaka when I walk out. I just really want that to be apparent so one really shouldn't waste their time worrying about food. Worry about what you want out of your experience there.
I want food.
I want a man.
I want to
You focus on you, I'll focus on me.
Oh, man. Gotta stop eating food.
What? Wait, who do you want
the Ayatollah? I want him to be hanged from his balls. Every single mullah in Iran to be hanged from his balls.
That's not a name of any sort of Israeli dish I've ever heard.
Oh, no, it's an Iranian dish. It was invented in the last 46 years.
Bibi.
Yes, to Saturam.
You know, Bibi Aziza. Bibi means queen in Persian. And so, like, when you're playing cards, though, or like, when you play the queen, you've played the Bibi.
Nice.
In your hand, yeah.
What's the king?
Shah.
Shah.
Yeah. Magnus can tell you all about that, it's his favorite topic to talk about.
No, when do I ever talk about Iran? Yeah, but she's right. Also, the word for soldier is sarbaz. Sar means head. Baz means someone who loses it. Or gambles with their own heads. There you go.
Koshkesh.
So rude. Get out.
Kubi.
No, but seriously, honestly, guys,
BB was set up with some Mashhadi girls in Great Neck back in the day.
Great
Clearly,
You know it.
Explains it all.
You know it.
Wait, what's a Mashhad? What is that? Because that's near me. I need to know all the information.
Mashhad. Okay, so Mashhadi is a city. People are from the city of Mashhad, and the Jewish population there is like they didn't really marry outside of the city due to the fact that they were crypto Jews during the Qajar dynasty. So there was like a 100-year period where only specifically these Persian Jews were subjected to being crypto. So you see a lot of Persian Jews have like that are from Mashhad have last names that are like Habibullah, you know, like they have like almost Ayatollah sounding last names, and it was because of the fact that they were forced to convert, and so that population didn't for decades only married within themselves, and they didn't marry Jews from other major cities like Tehran or Yazd or Hamadan, you know, or Isfahan, which have much larger Jewish populations. So the Mashhadi population kind of essentially, there's a lot of intermarriage, if you catch my drift, and so they're just a little bit more, not saying that they're just more into themselves and a little bit more religious. And so I'm not saying they're the only Persian Jews in Great Neck, but they're the ones that really started, you know, and they're like the Mashhadi Jews, yeah, in Chabads and stuff, you know, a lot of them have joined Chabad too, so they kind of dress Hasidish as well, like in the Ashki tradition.
Anal still doesn't count.
Anal doesn't. I mean, oh, you're dating Persian Jews in California. Got it, people.
Yeah.
Right, John. You know the instrument harp, right? The harp. Apparently, that was originally an Iranian instrument, and apparently was still very much prevalent until the Safavid dynasty, when they banned music, like how the Taliban bans music.
Right.
And that's how the harp went out of the Persian culture.
Cool. Sad.
Interesting, no?
Interesting.
Yeah, very sad.
Okay.
Interesting.
Anyway. So, Jai, that's just a little, yeah, so, Danny, that's, you asked, I answered. But yeah, like, you know, it's good to intermarriage, so it's showing you that even, like, culturally look at the time, that even people from different cities didn't want to marry each other, so, you know, that was kind of, whereas, like, the other Jewish populations, everyone's ancestry has a mix. So, like, for most people aren't just marrying Jews from their own city because, you know, I mean, it's not good for, you know, us. So people would they would marry outside of their own city.
Yeah.
Like B and Reb are both mixed Mashhadi with Hamadani, which is normal. I'm Tehrani and Shomali, so from the areas that my grandparents were from. In Mazandaran, in near Baltimore.
Same.
Nice.
Cousin, is that you?
Maybe. Are you a Yush?
I'm Rasht and Charlus and Noshar.
Oh, so you're on? Yeah, you're in Gilan, not Mazan.
Yeah. Oh, is it not the same? Oh,
no,
okay,
they're different provinces.
Do you know what it is?
There's not very high Jewish population in those areas. There's only some Jewish populations. One moment. There's only a small Jewish population in Mazandaran because there was a series of Jews that lived in like Central Asia, so like mountain Jews. Like some of them did come down to the northern part of Iran. And so that's actually where their ancestry comes from. Not that they actually are part of the Persian Jews that have been part of Iran, there for 2,000 plus years, since the fall of the Second Temple. Anyway, I don't feel like talking about history. I haven't even eaten, drinking coffee yet.
I just want to say this. The reason I mix up Mazandaran and Gilan is because there used to be one province which was once called Tabaristan, which Tabar means...
Which no one has called it that in over 300 years. Come on, dude.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly, yeah.
Hey, you don't need to, like... I'm not trying to have, like, Jeopardy on... No one cares. Who cares? I don't give a fuck if it was a Persepolis now. Now it's an Ayatollah-infested nothing. So until that changes, I don't really care.
Yeah,
Do you
but for
think,
$300.
with all the
For
damages
$300.
the mullahs have done, do you think Iran has a chance of, rebuilding itself?
I don't think
Was it
Shimi
beyond
or the other people in the room feel like they can contribute to an
Alright,
Iran-centric conversation. Anyway.
But I need to say that, Miss Roya, you have a good history knowledge.
Oh, thanks. My parents were really strict about education.
Did you say thirsty knowledge?
No, about education.
Oh, I thought you said you have a thirsty knowledge. I was like, that's a wicked way of flirting.
Dude, I literally yesterday was looking at Masterclass because I keep getting targeted by like former CIA operatives who are teaching classes on there on how to basically be more strategic and be a better communicator and things like that. And that shit is, yeah, so anyway, that I do like learning. I like learning, as do most people.
And I also need to share one point is that your country is very modern, very open-minded society.
Can we talk about like actually how it is actually how like Palestinian people are dying?
Huh?
Can we talk about that?
Can we fuck off?
Okay,
How Palestinian people are dying?
we can talk about this later.
Why can't we talk about this? No, go ahead, Bella. Marcus, could you just relax?
We're gonna
Go
see
ahead,
the world of you, Bella. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it, please.
Yeah,
Can you speak
listen to
up for
Danny.
Bella? Can you speak up, Bella, please?
Huh?
Speak up, please.
Can you speak
We
up?
can't hear you.
I'm talking. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, can you come closer to the mic, though? Slightly closer to the mic.
Okay, can you hear me? Is it better?
Yeah.
Right now?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about the genocide that's going on against Palestinian people.
We don't know what you're saying. You're too muffled.
She's asking about the genocide that's going on.
Genocide going on, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Can I ask where you're from, Bella?
I'm from Burundi, baby boy.
You're from where?
Burundi.
Brinzing?
Burundi.
Burundi is a country in Africa.
It's an African country.
Yeah. When was the last time you were in?
It is.
When was the last time you were in Gaza or Israel?
But first of all, Israel is not.
No, it's just a simple question. I don't need an
Let's
essay.
talk about.
No, but hold on, Bella. I didn't.
Burundi is not a real country.
Oh, in what way, babe?
Same way that Israel's not a real country. So however way Burundi's not a real country, Israel's not a real country.
I can explain for you why Israel is not a real country.
And I can explain to you why Burundi's not a real country.
Okay, should we do that?
No,
Okay?
I'm not interested. But if you want to be... Why are you yelling at me? You're the one that makes the claim. Be an adult. If somebody throws the same claim back at you, have the ability to have actual critical thinking and engage in a discussion.
Excuse me, why we having a conversation with this weird person?
Well, Burundi's not a real country, Shimi. Let's first hear why Israel isn't, and then I'll tell you why Burundi.
Okay.
About why Israel is not a real country, babe. You
Tell me,
Bella,
babe.
can you go away? Bella,
Tell
can
me,
you go
babe.
away?
What's going on with that?
What's going on with that? Tell us.
Yeah, because I can tell you why Burundi is a real country.
I don't need you to tell me why Burundi's a real country. I need you to tell me why Israel isn't a real country.
You don't want to have discussion, then.
You're right. I'm the one that doesn't want to have a discussion.
Okay, then I don't understand what's the problem.
Right, so go underneath your mic. That's maybe what you should do.
That's the problem, Bella. It's your lack of
Okay, babe,
understanding.
you.
It's your lack of understanding, Bella.
Bisu, bisu.
Beautiful. Beautiful, babe.
Bye-bye.
Bisu, bisu.
I know that. So beautiful. And I know.
Bye-bye.
Maybe.
Batsona. Have a nice day. Enjoy your day,
Maybe
Batsona.
for you, like, it's like.
Bye,
Bella, go
Batsona.
away.
Goodbye, Batsona.
Bella, go away. Go away, Bella,
Again.
go away.
Again, I'm sorry. I have to act this way. I've just reached my threshold. So keep them coming. Next.
Don't apologize, Roya. You're the most tolerant person I know.
Not today.
Believe me, even today, you'd be more
Danny,
tolerant
this is
than
so
I'm
fun. This is so fun. I never get to crush watermelons with my massive personality. Next one.
Guys, did you try to eat fava bean soup?
Yeah.
Do you want me to fart forever, Shimi? What's wrong with you?
No, I just ate it. I think it's my third
Bowl.
portion, and I don't feel like farting.
Well, that's for now. Relax. You have time. We have time
Okay.
to assess how it's gonna play out.
Do you want to talk about that guy in Sweden who got killed for burning a Quran and how that affects the free world, guys? Or is this not in the agenda?
Bro, it's 9:30 in the fucking morning.
I don't understand how this happens. I mean, it's funny, but it's like totally out of nowhere, you know? I just don't get it sometimes.
Roy, I don't get myself sometimes. I was born with a curse of randomness.
No, it's just like I was joking with one of the people here, like, it's irrelevant. It's not the point of talking to Jews. All of a sudden, the rules of social decorum and basic, like, the structures of how human communication and conversation, suddenly the rules switch. I taught, not that you were doing this, but it's like me walking into a board meeting where people are talking about something important and just saying so coming up with just saying the most random thing related to people's identity. I don't understand, and I get it. The room's named is Israel, but I wish sometimes people would be a little bit more cognizant. Don't talk at us about us, just talk with us, and you'll learn about us that way.
There's a misconception that we run the government and we make all the decisions. All the people that are in this room, we have that much authority.
So let me know whenever okay, baby, but all that to the side, totally valid. Please let me know if I'm on call for laser duty, and if I am, which weekends, because I really want to make sure that everyone paid attention to my requests for time off. All right, so please get back to me on that.
Yeah.
Circle back. Close the loop.
Know, and we'll get back.
Close the loop on that one. Thank you. Be a professional.
I'm pretty sure AI is controlling it now. You could take a day off.
Perfect. They used to say I basically have golden hands. But anyway, and there's a lot of responsibility and pride in my work, but I get it. It's automized now.
Oh. Do you guys know Emily Schrader by chance? The reporter?
No. Who's the next for $300? Who wants to ask a question?
BB, do you know who
Albert Einstein?
No. Kamal Abdel Nasser was? They killed him. He was the prime minister of Egypt. He liked the Jews for a second. Also, have you heard of Uncle Ben's rice? And have you also perhaps heard of Paula Deen?
You know that's triggering. I don't want to talk about Uncle
Ben.
Ben.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it in that way. It came off insensitive.
Fuck.
Especially after what happened to your Uncle Ben. It's really insensitive.
Wait, what? What's going on here?
Nothing.
What are you talking about? He got poisoned with arsenic. You guys constantly bring this up.
From the rice? Oh my god, of course, from the rice. Oh.
The fields. There were cotton fields before there were rice fields.
Whoa.
You guys constantly do this to me.
That's the name of the rice brand, baby. I don't know what the fuck's happening in your neck of the woods. Canada probably banned instant rice named Uncle Ben's. You're Canadian, right?
Yeah, it's called the Mirrors Rice.
No offense or anything. I didn't mean it like in a prosecutorial way.
No, it's called the Mirrors Rice over here. I live in a Persian neighborhood.
Oh, you got... And he got arsenic? That's so bad. Great. There's a new Persian kosher restaurant that's opened, kebab house that's opened up in great neck called Eshel. And they have like Israeli sides too, but it's predominantly Persian food.
Have you been there?
No, but everyone keeps sending it to me, and it looks delicious. Salim, why do you have the Walmart logo in your profile
Like you have
pic?
to make a reservation.
Yeah, you do. You have to make a reservation. Danny, are you? Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me send it.
Yeah, send it. I want to do that.
Eshel.
Just to let the new people know that came on stage, you're live on the air, 107.5 European Nation. And Roy is the co-host of the show. We have Shimi. Ask your questions, guys. Fire away.
We're definitely live on Edmund's YouTube right now.
Oh, he's here.
When I immigrate to America, can I come to Israel, drink wine with you all, and wear funny hats?
Why do you have to come to America first for that?
Your homie is Egyptian. Gotta leave.
Oh.
دلم برات خیلی تنگ شده.
حرفش جنده کثافت. There we go.
No.
More rational. You have to act more.
Watch him versus him now. He's literally, I'm open. I'll talk to anything about anyone, but then I won't talk to these guys and about this subject.
I asked you if you wanted to stop insulting each other, and you said no. And then so I said, okay.
Yeah, where's the arguments at, Sam? I've been looking for him all day in the fucking aisle. I said he found him yet.
Sam, do you agree that you're like liberal Ben Shapiro?
I'm not that liberal, guys. I mean, I'm a weird thing. I'm a transhumanist who wants to turn all of us into cyborgs. Like, I don't know if I'm like fucking, like, I don't know what the
I like how it's like, I'm epic transhumanist, but also the wokeness bothers me. I want to transcend the boundaries of flesh, but also, a woman is when you have a taco for genitals, and man is when you have weed.
You do guys know that I wouldn't be trans if I could pass. You guys know that, like, on on some level, I am literally trans because I would if I could.
I feel like now he's virtue signaling again. It's just like a cycle.
Wait, Sam, what is preventing? You think that Sam, how dare you assume that trans identity is something you can just choose to do? Do you think it's a choice, Sam? Do you actually think it's a choice?
Whether you get the surgeries is a choice, obviously, you fucking moron.
Might just be a cheese sandwich, but they'll get to eat.
A sugar sandwich.
That's the most embarrassing thing that happened to me in school. Not having any money in your lunch account, not having any money to pay for your lunch, and being forced to go back to the lunch table with a fucking cheese sandwich.
Haha, broke ass floor. No, I'm just playing. That's fucked up.
You guys remember?
No, I'm not. I'm just fucking.
Do you guys remember you could go buy like the hot wings or something like that, or the little slushies on the side? Did you guys have that in your schools? You know, like the kids that had money, they would go get the extra, the good stuff.
No, I think my school intentionally made shit all the same, so you couldn't make fun of people for being poor. So I've never really seen that, but it's like, yeah, I could definitely understand. They have the little fucked up lunch if you got to get free lunch, and then they got I've heard of that where it's like you
can go buy like a good lunch, like a good sandwich. Like they have that stuff they'll cook, like almost like a little deli, little shop on the side. Some school.
Yeah, but then your parents got to spend like 10.
What was his name? What was the Palestinian terrorist?
What was the guy's name? The main guy who Papa. Not what was his fucking name? He used to have the Keck Frog. What was his name, Mike? The one that was into shit coins, made a lot of money in it. This fellow who was big in the. You remember his name? Alchemist knows. We were talking to him, and he brought him in, and he testified against him.
Can you keep Earth, please? Eugene, are you there? Can you share the monitor?
The subject entirely. You uncomfortable talking about Palestinian terrorists and the children?
Hold on. Shut up. Shut up, Mike. This Earth guy is...
You're a liar, agent. You're lying.
Dog shit human that like lavishes when children are used as human sheep.
Is Eugene there?
Is agent there? Do you have a brain, agent? Is there anything in between your ears?
Alright, I'm not... If we don't have a mod, I'm gonna leave the room.
Bye, agent. You've contributed so much. Everybody knows who Earth is. Earth is always listening. Earth is always present. Earth hears everything.
Yeah, in the early 20th century, Egypt was actually amazing. The monarchy didn't fucking suck back then, I'll tell that much. Then Islamism happened and we all got fucked.
D, welcome to the stage. I don't know. I just think, Roy, you need to be armed. Go ahead, D.
Pew pew, pew pew. Get the massage agents in here, baby. Yeah.
We have a message on stage right now. Go ahead, D.
I am willing to surrender myself.
Devil Kitty, you are cool. I'm gonna add you. I like you. And you're smart. I actually really like Egyptians for the most part. I think you guys are smart and way less fucking creepy than the rest of.
One second. I'll not be honest with you. I don't like Egyptians. Actually, I hate the Egyptian people. The level of hypocrisy coming from their side, it's unbelievable. What happened in fucking Gaza, 99% of it, it's because of you Egyptians. Just to let you know.
Well, I like secular Egyptians who are exclusive like Devil Kitty. How about I clarify?
No, I'm not attacking it. No, I'm not attacking it.
I understand. Let me just tell you this, Jimmy. Jimmy, let me just tell you this. I agree with you. Don't think you're the only one who hates Egyptian. I hate Egyptians more than you ever will. You know, I got doxxed. Listen. I got doxxed 6 times in this application. Every day I get, insults about my mother. They would fucking imprison me if I know I'm an atheist. From the bottom of my heart, I tell you that hate is warranted. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a shit about this country.
How does a massage agent get clipped 6 times? That's insane, BB.
I have hands last face.
Because you're used
I'm telling you.
not a baby oil. That's where you fucked up.
I'm telling you, Roya.
You failed the mission, Devil Kitty.
Your PTR photo is triggering to me. Why is the middle finger the opposite way?
I have no fucking idea.
What are you talking about, BB? What opposite way? What do you mean? He's flipping a bird. What are you talking? What opposite way?
Like usually, if you were to flip, you look at the PTR photo. It's interesting.
Listen, I put this picture because I was talking about Salwan Momika yesterday, and some Arab motherfuckers were telling me
I
they're
know,
gonna
but
kill me.
could you imagine? It's like you're flipping to the people behind you.
Devil Kitty, can you guys do something where Egypt goes back to the age of cinema and music and being chic and being French? Can you guys just do that? Can you guys go back to that?
I wish. I'm telling you, I wish.
Why did you guys have to kill? Why did you guys have to kill Jamal Abdel Nasser? Why did you guys have to be so mean about Mubarak?
Because we're fucking retarded. That's why.
I understand you guys didn't like Mubarak, but do you guys like the Islamic Brotherhood? For real, come on.
Listen.
I'm just kidding. I know, I'm just kidding, but I'm kind of being serious, actually.
I am. Yeah, I want to talk for you serious there for a moment. I hate this nation from the bottom of my heart because we went from a secular nation with a powerful currency. We had art. Most of our artists were trilingual people who speak more than 3 languages. Our schools were awesome. Women weren't veiled. But then, no, it wasn't Gamal Abdel Nasser. Anwar Sadat came, and he was like, oh, I want to fight communism. So I'll introduce the Muslim Brotherhood to fight communism. And then shit went down the fan. We had a war with Israel, and then they call me a son of a sharmuta when I tell them, you guys should eat shit and die. Fuck the Middle East, burn it with fucking fire, and if you're gonna destroy Egypt, use biological weapons to preserve the history, and fuck these people.
And also don't forget all of the funding that he ended up, this is exactly the same problem. He ended up giving lots of money to the Al-Azhar University, and that's the hub, if for those who don't know, of Sunni clerical learning is in Egypt. It's in Al-Azhar University.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, so it really amplified their position and their power within Egypt at the time.
Can I say something real quick?
Of course, I just wanted to add.
No, thank you. You know what's really fucking maddening? I read our own constitution. The Azhar is part of the fucking constitution. Literally, what was it? It was the 10th section, I think. The Azhar University and Mosque is the main religious institution in this country. We have blasphemy laws, and every single terroristic scholar in East Asia, Sunni terroristic scholar in East Asia, has been taught in Egypt.
From Sayyid Qutb all the way, all of them, every single one of them, who are the pillars of Islamism.
You know Bin Laden? Yeah, Bin Laden, the Saudi fucking retard who did 9/11 was taught in here, and that pains me, Roya, because our history is amazing, and the food is wonderful. People here have actual good customs that got tarnished and destroyed by Islam. I wish nothing but the best for this nation, but I'm just done. I'm a young guy, 24 years old. All I want to do in my life is work a decent job, get a home, play music, and write poetry. And I can't do that here.
Those are the basic
You know how
aspirations that every human being should have the right to have. And I'm sorry that that is not the reality for you
If you guys
and
have
many
poetry, I
Middle
can-
Eastern.
Yeah, I have some poetry to share with you if you guys don't mind.
Could you just hold up with that? Because D keeps coming off the mic.
Okay.
And I think.
I'm ready, BB. Send.
Oh, sorry, I had D.
No
Go
problem. D, go ahead, buddy. Just to let you know you're live on the air, 107.5, European Nation. Go ahead. D. Take the D out of your mouth. Go ahead.
He's too busy leading a big multinational corporations board meeting right now, man.
What do we have here?
How does it feel being a low IQ Ashkenazi Jew?
The Jews are so smart they can make money on their own. Only the worst have to scam others, like Frager. Pork chop.
I didn't know about the scamming. I did not know about the scamming. That's
Frager's a grifter. He defrauded a couple of other Bitcoiners with his quote-unquote startup. Hey, listen to what he did. He leased a Mercedes-Benz and then drove away. Literally, Mike. Pork Chop has told everybody the story. Yeah, this guy Pork Chop is well known in the Bitcoin circles. Mike Frager is well known.
I know someone who, I know someone who took, and he's like a Bitcoin guy, he was a truck driver, but look, he had a trading strategy. He took money from mostly friends and family, and he lost a bunch of money. And he went out, he took a contract and was like driving really hard work just so he could pay back that money to people. Mike, why haven't you done that?
I can speak for Mike. It was a business deal. It was the risk that they put up. It's too bad. The business is now over. And so, in a sense, it's not quite a scam, but it is a pump and dump. He took a dump all over his friends in the community. Now he leases a Mercedes.
Well,
Is this
dude,
Wisdom
man,
Book?
because I did
Wisdom
a
Book
project,
might
but
be,
it's not like you guys ever do projects of any kind.
Yeah, I've done most.
Wisdom Book.
You don't know who you're talking to, man. What's wrong with
Wisdom Book?
There's
You guys have been on here for
there's
years.
like three
What's your project.
in this
You team, could you kick
room.
Wisdom Book? I think it might.
There are 3 doctorate level project doers.
Wisdom.
Okay.
Doctorate
And then
level,
that's me,
okay,
Roger
it's like
Rutland, and I
academic,
get
okay.
Yeah,
Not
listen.
commercial.
It doesn't matter. We're building
Kiko!
scamming people.
Building things,
And then,
what
to
you
your,
build.
and then to your left is agent. To your left is agent who does nothing but projects and
Like what?
projects, and has been doing it for his career. It doesn't matter like what. You just take it to the bank. Don't you know these people? Don't you know agent? He's
So
been
what's
on
the
here forever.
project?
Computer projects,
team-
not scams like Atelix. Atelix, your scam
What do you
fucking.
think that was? It's a computer
Guys,
project.
listen to Frager's project. It's called Atelix. I'm going to make Amazon for stocks in crypto, and we are going to have a new community, a new exchange. And we would say, but what about regulation, Mike? He said, we're working on that. We're working on that. All right, wait a second, Mike. You need to be regulated for that. No, you don't. Okay. All right, Mike.
I just want to let everyone know Wisdom is that schizophrenic guy in his mom's
Yeah, I
basement.
thought so. Eugene, can you please kick Wisdom or give me the mod badge? Eugene, Nijilima?
Which one is Wisdom?
Wisdom in the audience, please. Kick Wisdom. Block.
Oh man, it's just too funny. Too funny.
Children, rage of mine I shall not control. Rage of mine is righteous anger. Clear your mind, speak thou dying truth. My dear brethren, fear not salvation, for none comes your way. Live life, sorrows filled within it. Live with a smile, with a sarcastic figure, with a renounced light. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Now you understand where my name came from.
Totally.
Also, before I go, because I have to go now, shout out to my sister Aya downstairs. Love you, big sister.
Aya's our sister too. Aya is an OG in our groups.
Yeah,
the associate in the Hebrew and associate.
Yeah, I have been active a lot more on Twitter than Clubhouse, because Clubhouse has been shitty to me the last couple of days. I got banned for a month for saying a racist slur to a terroristic Arabic man.
Happens. I'm so sorry, but that sounds bad.
Let's just say he wanted me dead, so I said something I shouldn't say. Let's put it. All right, have a good one, everybody.
Bye, Devil Kitty.
Do some stretches before the massages. Have a good day, bro.
I fucking hate you. Have a nice day.
Good morning, Pineapple. All right, next.
I say.
I've blocked a lot of them already.
I said peculiar a bit, I say.
He was on the spectrum, Shimi. Can't you tell anymore? He's a massage agent. I mean, it's better to point out everyone else's issues than our own. Why do we keep, it doesn't have to be about us. Let's love ourselves.
We should do an exercise. Like everybody just stand up and give yourself a big hug.
Baby, you really didn't think I liked you? That's crazy.
I was hurt.
Shut up, you stupid liar. What are you talking about?
I was hurt.
Liar.
I'm not. I was hurt. And this morning when you said you're iron deficient, I was like, I felt anguish. I could do something, but...
You know what? Don't feel anguish. Just let the dots connect at that point. Missing piece.
That's right.
Click, click, click.
Yeah.
Bring that disgusting anti-Semite back in here, D. Bring him back. I have energy. I have energy right now. You caught me on a high. Bring him back.
She's gonna roll.
Who is Wisdom?
Wisdom, come up. Introduce yourself.
Rena, when they come up, you say, nuh-uh. All right. Hi, Wisdom. Who are you? Nuh-uh. Rena,
Wisdom, introduce yourself.
Bestow some wisdom.
Well, we don't understand. Well, we can't. The sign language isn't working. Can't see you.
Strava, can you come up?
Wisdom.
Yalla, Wisdom. Oops,
You know
I'll be
him?
back. No.
Troy is going, I'm going.
فرجيها صورة اصبعك يا امين يا هاني تبطل مكتئبة وحزينة. بعت لها صورة اصبعك.
لا قلبي وبطيب يعني أعداء بشار بيقول له هاني أنا بدي الأصبع. والله يتعافى المرء فيكم عن جد. دغري ضرب عينه أصلا.
About your hat yesterday. You know what? Today we just completed an amazing trip. We went to Ghana, we went to Malawi, we went to Kenya. Here we are in Egypt. I want to talk about my trip and not what I wear, and that's very.
Eternia.
Hi, we're Charity Water. If we lost you at Charity, we get it.
Last week's talk, medical experiment.
Because both are interested in changing states of human consciousness. Whereas institutional Western religion, Christianity, Judaism, and even Islam are relatively less interested in this matter. Western religions are more concerned with behavior, doctrine, and belief than with any transformation of the way in which we are aware of ourselves and of the world. But this matter concerns psychiatry and psychology very much. Only those states of consciousness which are not normal are usually treated in Western psychology as being in some way sick. There are, of course, exceptions to this, and there have increasingly been exceptions in the work of Jung, and to some extent even of Grodek, of Prinzhorn, of more modern people, Rogers, and Ronald Lang. Changing consciousness is often looked upon as a form of therapy. But in general, different states of consciousness from the normal are regarded as a form of sickness. And therefore, official and institutional psychiatry constitutes itself the guardian of sanity and of socially approved experience of reality. And very often it seems to me that reality appears rather much the way the world is seen on a bleak Monday morning in this official doctrine, I might even say dogma, of what reality is. Because after all, we know that our science, such as it is of psychology, is founded in the scientific naturalism of the 19th century. And the metaphysical and mythological assumptions of that science still underlie a great deal of psychological thinking, in behaviorism eminently, but also to a large extent in official psychoanalysis. Indeed, one might say that psychoanalysis is based on Newtonian mechanics and in fact could be called psychohydraulics. Not that that analogy is altogether inappropriate, because there are certainly respects in which our psychic life flows and exhibits the dynamics of water. But of course we want to know what kind of water. And for the scientific naturalism of the 19th century, the basic energies of nature were considered to be very much inferior to human consciousness in quality. Ernst Haeckel, a biologist of that time, would think of the energy of the universe as blind energy. And correspondingly, it seems to me that Freud thought of the libido as essentially blind, unconscious energy, embodying only a kind of formless, unstructured, and insatiable lust. This is a generalization. Some modification in that thinking is, of course, possible. But the tendency is to regard all that which lies below the surface of human consciousness as being less evolved, because you must remember that this was also the time of Darwin's theories of evolution, of seeing the human mind as a fortuitous development from much more primitive forms of life, coming forth by purely mechanical processes, by natural selection and by the survival of the fittest. And therefore, man was in general seen as a fluke of nature, an embodiment of reason, emotion, and values, for which the more basic processes of nature had no sympathy and about which they did not care. If, therefore, the human race is to flourish, we must take charge of evolution. It can no longer be left to spontaneous process, but must be directed by human ingenuity, despite the fact that although our brains are capable of dealing with a colossal number of variables at once, our conscious attention is not. Most people cannot consider more than 3 variables at the same time without using a pencil. And this shows that in many ways the scanning process of man's conscious attention is very inadequate for dealing with the infinitely many variables, the multidimensional processes of the natural universe. However, a serious attempt has been made, and scientific naturalism issued in a fantastic fight with nature, in this whole notion of the conquest and subordination of nature, which has, as a matter of fact, very ancient, non-scientific and biblical origins, with the idea of man as the head and chief and ruler of nature in the image of God. And the time has now dawned upon us all when our attempts to beat nature into submission are having alarming results. Because we see that it's very dangerous to mess around with processes that we don't understand, that have enormous numbers of variables, and we begin to wonder whether we hadn't better let well enough alone. At the same time, although I said that Western psychology had more in common, or more common interest with Oriental religion than it does with Western religion, there is a sense in which psychiatry and psychotherapy are becoming the religion of the West. Psychoanalysis has much in common with the forms and procedures of institutional religion. There is, for example, apostolic succession. The passing down of mana, of qualified power to practice therapy from the father founder, Sigmund Freud, through his immediate apostles, to an enormous company of archbishops and bishops, among whom there are, of course, as there were with Christianity, heresiarchs, such as Jung and Grodek and Rank and Reich. And the heresiarchs are duly excommunicated and anathematized. There are rituals, as there are also rituals with religion. There is the sacrament of the couch. There is the spiritual discipline of free association. There is the mystic knowledge of the interpretation of dreams. And there are also the two great symbolic fetishes, the long one and the round one. Now, it's extraordinarily easy to make fun of all this. And we must not forget that we owe a tremendous debt to Freud, if for nothing else than pointing out that much of ourselves of which we are aware in terms of the conscious ego is not really ourselves. It is something superficial. However we define its nature, it is superficial. And the realities of human life are not under the gaze of its scanning process, at least not in the ordinary way. And that was a tremendous revelation. There's no question about that. But one sees troublesome signs when the doctrines and processes of psychiatry, psychoanalysis, and so forth become officialized. And I think Thomas Sass, in his books, The Myth of Mental Illness and The Manufacture of Madness, is pointing out something extremely important to us, which is that, in effect, the psychological official of today is the priest, and that he is beginning to exercise the same sort of controls over human life as were exercised by the church in the Middle Ages. So that a professor of psychiatry at Columbia or Harvard or Yale medical schools has today the same sort of intellectual respectability and authority as the professor of theology at the University of Toledo or Padua would have had in the year 1400. Now you must realize that the theologians of those days not simply believed in their cosmology and the theology, they almost knew it was true in the same way that our scientists know certain things to be true. despite the fact that they change their opinions very often, while they hold them, they have in effect the force of dogma, as witness the anathematization of Velikovsky for his uncomfortable ideas. And therefore, there are heresies existing today which are persecuted in the same way as heresies were persecuted by the Holy Inquisition. And they are persecuted out of kindness, in exactly the same way that the Holy Inquisition persecuted heresy out of kindness and deep concern for human beings. That is unimaginable to us, but it was so. For after all, if you seriously believed that someone who did not hold the Catholic faith and who voluntarily rejected it would be tortured physically and spiritually forever and ever and ever in hell, you would resort to almost any means to preserve a fellow human being from such a fate, especially if the complaint or disease of heresy from which he suffered was infectious. You would first of all reason with him. And if he was not responsive to reason, you would resort to abuse and to forceful argument. And if he was not responsive to that, you would give him shock treatment and bang him about. If that didn't work, the thumbscrew and the rack and the Iron Maiden. And if that didn't work, as a last desperate resort, you would burn him at the stake in the pious hope that in the midst of those searing fires he would think better and make a last act of perfect contrition, and so be rescued from everlasting damnation. And you did all this within the spirit of this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. In the spirit of a surgeon who is very, very sorry indeed that he has to make you undergo this extremely painful operation. But it is in your best interests, and there really is at least a 50-50 chance that you may survive. And so, therefore, in perfectly scientific medical spirit, people may be very arbitrarily and without due process deprived of their civil rights, incarcerated in prisons that are in many cases much worse than prisons for criminals, and generally left to rot, be neglected and ignored, and when bumptious, given shock treatment or put in solitary confinement. For what? Because they have unorthodox and heretical states of consciousness. A lot of these people are not dangerous until provoked into being dangerous by being ignored, by being treated as machines, and in generally defined as non-human. And if you are defined as non-human, there's precious little you can do about it. Because everything you say that sounds human will be taken as a kind of utterance of a mechanical man, as imitating humanness out of lunatic cunning. You will be suspicious. Everything you say will be listened to in a different way and with different ears. And you will have one hell of a time talking yourself out of it. Because there really are no rules as to what one must do when incarcerated for having unorthodox consciousness. There is no clear road to repentance. And this is found likewise in jails, where people are incarcerated on 1 to 10-year sentences, as in places like Vacaville, California, where when I visited such prisons, young men have come to me in perfect desperation, saying, I don't know what's happened to me, because I want to live like a decent citizen. I know I've done things that are wrong, but I simply don't know what is expected of me here. If I try to do what's expected, they say I'm compliant. And that seems to be some sort of a sickness. Thomas Sass drew attention to this when he quoted a discussion of the types of school children who may very well need therapy. There were overachieving children. There were underachieving children. There were children who exhibited erratic patterns. There were children who were sort of dully mediocre. In fact, every sort of child can be given a diagnostic name for his behavior which sounds sick. As Jung once suggested, life itself is a disease with a very poor prognosis. It lingers on for years and invariably ends with death. And I submit that in our present knowledge of the human mind, such power in the hands of psychiatrists is amazingly dangerous. For I would suggest that today we know about as much concerning the human mind as we knew about the galaxy in 1300. And that while there are indeed individuals who are certainly able to perform psychotherapy, it is the sheerest arrogance for anybody to say that he is officially qualified to do so. We do not know how it is done, just as we do not know, really, how musical, artistic, and literary genius is done. You cannot really teach it. You can put the tools for doing these things into people's hands, and you can show them how to use the tools. But whether they will use those tools with genius is quite unpredictable. And this is above all true of the art of psychotherapy. We don't know how it's done. We've got some vague ideas. There probably are some people who, by reason of their mental derangement, are probably not qualified to perform it, because they are maybe out just to make other people into messes. But to say that there are certain standards and certain examinations that can be passed and certificates that could be issued, which do indeed qualify people for this work, is, I think, pernicious nonsense. And is used, of course, out of economic self-interest when those who consider themselves official therapists run into competition. The same was done by religion. I was talking, imagine it, to a Buddhist priest in Thailand some years ago. I was looking at some books in a bookshop in the precincts of a Buddhist temple. And I was wandering over, and I noticed a book on a certain form of Buddhist meditation. And I murmured, Satipatthana, which is the name of a certain kind of Buddhist meditation. And a voice suddenly said to me, "You practice Satipatthana?" I looked up, and there was a skinny Buddhist monk in a yellow robe with rather red eyes looking at me. I said, "Not exactly Satipatthana. I use a different method. It's called Zen." "Oh, Satipatthana, not Zen." I said, "Oh, well, it's something like it, isn't it?" "No." "Well, it's rather like yoga," I said, "isn't it?" "Not yoga. No, Satipatthana different. Only right way." "Well, look," I said to him, "I have a lot of Roman Catholic friends who tell me that their way is the only right way. Who am I to believe?" "You know," I said, you're like someone who's got a ferry boat for crossing the river." I used the Buddhist simile. "And another fellow down the stream has opened up ferry business. And you go to the government and say, he's not authorized to operate a ferry boat because he's competition to you. Let all operate ferry boats who will. And if you haven't got the sense to stay off one that sinks, it's your fault." And after all, I could say to him, "You believe that everything that happens to you is your own karma. So why worry?" But now, it's so interesting that since official psychiatry, and I underline that word official because I hope those of you in this audience who are therapists will regard yourselves as unofficial. Lisa, that'll give you an out. But nevertheless, official psychiatry has curious things in common with Western religion, as well as with Eastern. With Eastern, I said, only insofar as it has an interest in states of consciousness and inclines to regard other states of consciousness than the ordinary as sick. But it has one very important feature in common with Western religion. And to that, we have to go a little bit into Western religious history and ask ourselves what in Western religion, and especially in Christianity, and this goes also for Judaism, Islam, what is the great heresy? Curiously enough, the great heresy was first in the West committed by no less a person than Jesus Christ, who believed himself to be God. This, of course, will be unquestionably true if you think that the Gospel of St. John has historical value. It's a little vaguer in the Synoptic Gospels, but if you read the Gospel of St. John, there is absolutely no doubt about it, for he said, I and the Father are one. He who has seen me has seen the Father. Before Abraham was, I am. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. He said all that according to this gospel. And that is something that in the Western world you are not supposed to say. Especially you are not supposed to believe it. And naturally it was very difficult for Jesus, because he was saying all this in the context of the Hebrew culture. And he tried to find language in the Hebrew scriptures with which to express his state of consciousness, because he had an unusual state of consciousness. As I read it, he had cosmic consciousness, otherwise known as mystical experience, otherwise known as moksha, nirvana, bodhi, satori, fana elfana, or what you will. And that happens to people. It has happened as far back as we know. It happens all over the world and in all cultures. We don't know very much about it. We don't really know ways in which to make it happen, because it seems to be of the nature of it that it is a spontaneous surprise. But it unquestionably happens. And most people keep their mouths shut about it when it does. I had a friend who, in the middle of having a stroke, had this illumination. And he said to me, I fear to speak to my friends of this, but it was the most beautiful experience. I shall never be afraid of death. In fact, I recommend everyone to have a stroke. This was my friend Jean Varda, lately deceased Greek painter. But Jesus certainly had this transformation of consciousness. And he was crucified for it. Why? Because he had committed an act of insubordination and treason against the cosmic government. Because if you believe that God is a monarch, an absolute, omniscient, and omnipotent authority, shall we say a sort of cosmic ego, then to claim to be that is to introduce democracy into the kingdom of heaven, to usurp divine authority, and to speak in its name without proper authorization. And they asked Jesus, by what authority do you speak? Of heaven or of men? And he was tricky about answering that one. He said, by what authority did John the Baptist speak? And they were nervous about answering that one. He could have asked, by what authority did Isaiah speak, etc., or Moses. But Moses became official authority. And if you could wangle it, that what you said was simply an extension of what Moses said, because Rabbi so-and-so said it, who got it from Rabbi so-and-so, who got it from Rabbi so-and-so, who got it from Moses, then it's okay. Notice this, that to be an authority today in the academic world depends on documentation. It's not enough to say, for I say unto you, you must put in your footnotes. And the more the footnotes, the more the authority, obviously. So, our dissertations tend to be books about books, about books about books, and our libraries multiply by mitosis. So, when somebody speaks as an authority, that means speaks as the author. That's all it means. It's a statement of which you are the author, and therefore for which you assume responsibility. That is to speak with authority. And to be original is likewise not to be freaky, but to speak from the origin. That is what Christians mean when they say to speak in the Spirit, to have your mouth possessed by the Holy Spirit, as they believe the mouth of Jesus was possessed by the Holy Spirit. So the gospel of Jesus, which of course was hushed up from its inception, was that wake up everybody and find out who you are. Asking that, again in the Gospel of St. John, they, pointing to his disciples, may be one, even as you, Father, and I are one. And when he was accused of blasphemy, the Jews took up stones to stone him, you know. And he said, many good works have I shown you from the Father, and from which of these do you stone me? And they said, for a good work we don't stone you, but for blasphemy, because you being a man make yourself God. Now listen to the reply. He said, is it not written in your law, I have said ye are gods? And if that is what the scripture says, it can't be denied. So why do you tell me I blaspheme because I say I am a son of God? No answer. Because I said I am a son of God. It doesn't say that in your King James translation. It says I am the son of God. And you'll see the italicized, and you will think that that is for emphasis if you don't realize that passages in italics in the King James Bible are interpolations by the translators. So, son of, in Hebrew and in Arabic, means of the nature of. When we call someone a son of a bitch, we mean bitchy. And so if you call someone a son of God, you mean divine. Of the nature of God. As the Nicene Creed subsequently defined it, he is of one substance with the Father. But what happened was that this being blasphemy for the Jews, it became blasphemy for the Christians, for anyone else than Jesus to say it. They said, okay, baby, it was so with you, but there it stops. No more of this business. And as a result of that, Jesus was made irrelevant by pedestalization, by being kicked upstairs. In spite of the fact that he said, greater works than these that I do shall you do. Oh no, upstairs with you, baby, because we just can't have that sort of thing going on in a monarchical universe. We're not going to have democracy in the kingdom of heaven. So, this is why the gospel is impossible. Because we are supposed to follow the example of Christ. Where he says, for example, be not anxious for the morrow. Do not worry about what you shall eat, what you shall drink, and what you shall wear. God will take care of you. Doesn't he take care of the birds? Don't the flowers grow? And they're wonderful. They're crazy. They're great. What are you worrying about? I've never heard a sermon preached on that. Never. Because it's totally subversive. The economy would crash. So they say, oh, yes, that's all very well, but he was the boss's son. See, he had that colossal advantage. Take up your cross. boss and follow him. Hey, but
What up, Zach?
what's up?
This is your Shabbos Goy Shabbos detection system letting you know that you are in violation of Hashem's Shabbos protocol. You have been detected as a Shabbos breaker. Please return to Shabbosing immediately.
I went to jiu-jitsu. I'm undergoing a process of spiritual and mental and physical healing.
Yeah, that's good. I would just say, jiu-jitsu's fun and all, but like, I don't know. I just kind of have given up. I know why it's really valuable, but I don't know. I would rather just. I mean, I wouldn't mind going to jiu-jitsu if there was like a gym there as well. I know they do kind of have a gym in a lot of these places.
Some of them have that. Don't you just do both? They're separate. You go to Planet Fitness and then you go to the jiu-jitsu.
I don't know. I'm at that point where it's like I'd rather pull out a Smith & Wesson 357 and just,
I feel you, but it's not. You know what the real deal is, though? We don't have to talk about jiu-jitsu, although I am driving, so I can't read right now. But let me just tell you, I don't know if you really fully understand the thing about jiu-jitsu, that it is a game.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many games you play. Like, when I was in Israel, John, they play a lot of sheshmesh. Sheshmesh?
Yeah.
And it's huge. You've been to Nabi Yuna?
No.
You probably have. It's like this coolest coffee shop in Tel Aviv where people sit around and play backgammon.
No, I
And
didn't.
there's
I
a
didn't
lot of
see that.
beautiful. Anyway, the point is, it's physical benefits, it's self-defense, but it's more than a Smith & Wesson because it's like a chess. It's like tennis. But it's not tennis. I mean, it's not tennis. But it's like tennis. It's like playing basketball.
No, I get it. I've done it. I mean, I did it for a while.
I just mean that's like mental benefits where it's like, I'm not stressed about the news. I'm not thinking about this or that. I'm just playing this game. And it's like, if somebody beats me, it's like, oh, you got me. There's no malice. It's all a game. It's like, it's fun.
Yeah. My friend here in Chicago that I grew up with, he owns a Gracie Barra facility.
Oh, that's my shit. You realize that? I told you that's my shit?
Yeah.
From Instagram.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, the thing about that is they have reciprocity. So if you did Gracie Barra there, and then if we ever met up in the real world, we could go to each other's jiu-jitsu gyms for free.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a good perk. Like when I was in Arizona and when I was in Kansas, I went to jiu-jitsu.
Mm.
Anyway, the only thing that's wrong with the world is, the crazy fat lesbians, the hateful racist extremists, and everybody in between. And other than that, everything's perfect. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful outside right now. It is beautiful. No, it's like, I don't know, maybe upper 40s, lower 40s. It's great.
Oh, wow.
Sunny.
No snow.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym in a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been creating a lot of these shorts on YouTube, and reading Marcus. Yesterday, I read Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, and created about 45 shorts on YouTube. So yeah, I think there's a lot of value in reading these books personally and then reading them into YouTube. So if and when you want to create shorts as like a morning meditation and a morning work project, reading Tanya, reading Rumi, reading any kind of like poetry, wisdom that flows into YouTube is, I think, like the best way to do therapeutic work and publish content that people should be watching as opposed to all the brain rot.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, it's cool because I don't know, because this app is just insanely retarded.
Right.
But I don't know if you've been following the news, but there's so many things that are happening and so quickly, and you see how much like rot has set into the government with all the DEI and all the spending. Um, yeah, we like this new government is going to be the like wildest thing we've ever seen because we have allowed so much of this insanity to like take over the government and all the major agencies, let alone all the major corps. So people are quitting and retiring. Like this is accelerating the retirement of a large swath of highly paid, incompetent pieces of shit.
Yeah, well, let me just say with some, I agree with you. It is going to increase in volatility. We're going to see so much volatility, right? Tariffs are starting February 1st, right? Canada, Mexico, right? There's a lot of things that play. It's going to be a strong number of years, and yeah, I mean the volatility is definitely there. You know, like if you want to make a really good play, it calls on the VIX. I know that sounds pessimistic, but after I heard the tariffs, I'm like, all right, we're throwing calls on the VIX, right? So, yes.
I don't know if you saw that they haven't released the name of like the helicopter pilot, the crew who was a part of like the plane.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
You know why, right?
Because the name was Yolanda.
Yeah, it was probably a trans.
It was probably Shaquana. What makes you think that transgender people can't fly planes? Would you rather have a transgender pilot or a the other one?
Well, it's just, it's showing that things have gotten so. It's not things have gotten, things have always been fucked up for a long time now. So it's like, I saw somebody on X said, if you take a shot at the king, you best not miss. So whatever Trump and JD Vance are gonna do, this is this is the biggest moment in American history in fucking 30 years, and I mean I wouldn't be surprised if there's major T attacks in this country because people can't handle the changes that are coming, and so there's like a reactionary movement of insane trans lesbians waging war.
See what was I going to say? Oh, first I was going to tell you I saw a meme that was like these two black ladies in the cockpit wearing pilot uniforms. Did you see that meme?
Yeah.
Beeping? I didn't hear no fucking beeping.
That was fucking hilarious.
Hilarious. Okay, and also, did you see the plane crash in Philly?
Yeah, that was wild too.
I mean, that looked kind of like a missile. I mean, was that a plane crash or was that a missile from outer space?
Yeah, it was a plane.
Oh, it looked like a missile.
It was a big, it's amazing how much force. I mean, even 9/11, like you look at the commercial airliners that went into those buildings, like when you go into a major skyscraper, you realize that if there's an impact at the top of that thing, it's not gonna pancake just because there's a major impact at the top. So, like, I don't know. To me, the events of 9/11 are need to be thoroughly, opened up, because I think that until we admit 9/11, we're still living in a deception. And I mean, there's just no way 3 buildings came down from 2 planes. No fucking way.
What? Yeah, what was the pilot's name? He says Shaquana Davis.
I don't know. I don't know.
Wait, was it really a woman pilot?
Do you know the name of the pilot?
I don't know.
It was a monkey pilot.
Did you see they also arrested a Federal Reserve employee for selling state secrets to China?
No, I didn't see that.
I believe that.
There's so much on there, you know, and they also kicked out all the major news agencies from the Pentagon. There's so much going on in X. There's so much information on there. It's like without X, you wouldn't even be able to keep track of what they're doing. And man, I mean, holy shit, Trump. I don't even know how Trump won this election. I really don't understand how the fuck there wasn't a protracted legal battle because they weren't able to pull off a fraudulent election.
John, I'll tell you something that I read this morning. As many as 40% of the non-citizens present in Maine may have voted in the 2024 elections or had votes cast in their names. This figure is based on data from Maine's Central Voter Registration and Maine Care. As many as 40% of the non-citizens present in Maine, including those who entered the United States illegally and those with legal alien status, may have voted in the 2024 elections or had votes cast in their names. And so what that tells me, if there's a lot of, I don't know if there's a lot of illegal immigrants here, but there's a lot of immigrants here. And if 40% of the illegal immigrants that are present in Maine voted, I know that all of them voted Democrat, and that makes me think that if we hadn't had all the votes from illegals, that we would have seen perhaps the greatest landslide victory for Trump in American history, because the average American citizen is rejecting the bullshit policies of the progressive movement that has dominated the Democratic Party over the past 10 or maybe 20 or 30 years, but especially the past 10 years. I mean, the American people have rejected the nonsense of critical race theory, of fat acceptance, and all this transgender bullshit, like all of the bullshit. I would say that way more Americans voted for Trump than we think.
Did you
that's
see?
How Trump won.
I agree. Did you see the?
Definitely.
Did you see the Bernie Sanders and RFK senator confirmation?
Do you support these onesies? Would you wear a onesie?
And Zach, you know what's crazy? A lot of the people that voted for Trump the first time around, they formerly were Democrats, like back in the day. But it's like with how things have just kind of been like push, the whole like trans thing, the super.
Well, listen, if you're not a Democrat below the age of 30, you're a racist. And if you're not a Republican above the age of 30, you are an F-word, N-word.
So Zach, are you gonna run for like an office? You know, maybe just local council or Congress, because like your state is wide open for somebody like yourself to take political action, get the signatures, get on the ballot, and run for office.
I would vote for Zach. I would relocate.
Not you, motherfucker. I'm talking to Zach. Danny, your mic is so fucking loud that it's like horribly annoying, man. I mean, do your fucking heavy industrial work, you know, when we're not trying to create podcast content. Just stay down there until you've lowered your decibel. I know you're working, but anyway, Zach, you need to run for like local council, alderman, something, because like you've spent so much time having political discourse on this app. You should definitely take action, and you have the intelligence and the wherewithal to get the signatures. Fuck, you're getting signatures for that Schwartz in fucking Arizona. This time around, get signatures for yourself and run it all on a fucking nothing budget. You can do it. And I'll be your digital campaign strategist from Chicago. I'll spam you to the sky. All right, anything else you want to say or discuss? Because I'm going to play this Alan Watts thing. Smoke my ganj. Drink my coffee.
Wait a minute. I don't know I'm going to be resurrected 3 days later. I can't do all those miracles. He had an unfair advantage. So how can you ask us to follow the example of Christ? But supposing he didn't have an unfair advantage. Supposing that what was true about Jesus as a Son of God is true of us. Only a few of us know it. And we are pretty careful to be quiet about it, lest the same thing happen to us as happened to Jesus. And indeed it often does. And you know, you get these people from Arkansas or Texas or anywhere in the Bible Belt who never heard of the Upanishads, and they have this cosmic consciousness experience, and they realize that that's what happened to Jesus. They say, I'm Jesus, come back. Well, everybody says to them, you aren't Jesus. It's pretty obvious you're not Jesus. You're just Joe Douglas. Well, he says that's what they said about Jesus. He has a perfect argument, except they say you're not much of a Jesus. They say, all right, if you're Jesus, command that these stones be made bread. And he says, a wicked and deceitful generation seeketh for a sign, and there shall no sign be given. Now, why talk about this? Is it interesting? Is it important? For the human being to realize that in some sense of the word, whatever it means, he is God or one with God. As is plainly taught by the Hindus, hinted at by the Buddhists, only they don't like to put it out as a concept, in case people will use the concept as an idol to hang on to. They want you to find out for yourself and not believe in it. And certainly the Taoists understand it, the Sufis understand it, a lot of people understand it.
Vitamins we need to get.
So what? Well, the importance of it is this, that to know that you are God is another way of saying that you feel completely with this universe. You feel profoundly rooted in it and connected with it. You feel, in other words, that the whole energy which expresses itself in the galaxies is intimate. It is not something to which you are a stranger, but it is that with which you, whatever that is, are intimately bound up. That in your seeing, your hearing, your talking, your thinking, your moving, you express that which it is which moves the sun and other stars. And if you don't know that, if you don't feel that, well, naturally you feel alien, you feel a stranger in the world, and if you feel a stranger, you feel hostile. And therefore, you start to bulldoze things about, to beat it up, and to try and make the world submit to your will, and you become a real troublemaker. So I feel also one reason why you become hostile is that feeling that you were just brought into this place, that your father and mother went up to some monkey business that they probably shouldn't have done, or it was bad rubber goods, and as a result of this, here you are, and you didn't ask to be here. Well, you always feel you can turn around and blame them. You can blame somebody. You can blame the government. You can blame the rascals. You can blame the cheaters. Always supposing you yourself aren't a rascal, which is a long odds. You always can blame someone and say, I didn't ask for it. Take it away. And yet, very few people are all too ready to take it away. Camus said that the only serious philosophical problem is whether or not to commit suicide. And if you don't say take it away, what are you going to do? You've really got to assume responsibility for it. You've got to say yes to what happens. It's my karma. And that doesn't mean merely, there are many misinterpretations of the doctrine of karma. It's usually and popularly understood that what happens to you, either fortunate or unfortunate, is the result of good or bad deeds in a previous life. Well, that's popular superstition. The real meaning of karma, the word in Sanskrit means simply doing. And if I say of an event, it is your karma, it is saying it is your doing. So the exposition, a book which would expound karma, would be not so much a whodunit as a youdunit. But that seems fantastic. Now, therefore, what I propose we do is that we, instead of just ideologizing, we have a clinical experience. You know, in psychiatric school, in medical school, it's very usual for a doctor to bring a patient out in front of the students and talk with the patient as a kind of demonstration. He says, I want you to recognize the difference between a psychopath and a manic depressive or a schizophrenic or something. They don't know what all these things mean. And especially the schizophrenia. And so he has a dialogue with the patient right there. So let us suppose that I'm the patient, and you are the students and the doctors. And I suffer from what you would call the delusion that I'm God. And therefore, you might want to do something about me or with me, or humor me or ask me questions. And so I'm perfectly willing to submit to your examination and your treatment and invite you to help yourselves.
When did you become God?
Now.
Will you marry me?
No. Yes.
God, you sleep on your stomach or your back?
Sleeping is like politics. One sleeps on the right side, and then when you're tired of that, you sleep on the left. When you're tired of that, you sleep on your back, and when you're tired of that, you sleep on your stomach. And it is thus that the world goes round.
If you were God now, what were you yesterday?
Now,
How do you become God?
you don't become God.
Am I also God?
Yes.
Are we then the same person?
No.
What is
Remember, 3 persons, but 1 God.
God, could you tell us a little about Satan?
Could I tell you a little bit about Satan? Yes. Although the matter is a little esoteric, but I told you all about it in the book of Job, where you will see that in the court of heaven, Satan is the district attorney. He is not, as Christians imagine, the enemy of heaven and the enemy of mankind. He's merely the person who sees the bad side of things and carries out the dirty work. And therefore, he saw Job and wondered whether Job really was as great a guy as he seemed to be, and suggested that God should appoint a committee of investigation to find out. And the committee did its work very thoroughly, but the case went against Satan because it was proved in the end that Job was an honorable man. Now, you notice that although we pay the salary of the district attorney, whenever there's a great criminal case before the public eye, people begin